One thing we talk about a lot with parents is the question on how do I get to connect with my child? It's one of the things that happen in autism is losing that growth seeking mindset. We're not going to get in that today, but with adults on the spectrum having a 4 times more likelihood of having anxiety and depression, that all kind of comes back to co-regulation. Co-regulation is important because in order to self-regulate, we need to co-regulate. So first, then, we wouldn't build an apartment building on the second floor. We need the first floor first. Parents wouldn't expect their kids to know their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s without first teaching them. So first we have to teach them and guide them, which is co-regulation, and then they can have some self-regulation. So I'm here with Amber today. We're going to get into it about co-regulation. So Amber, can you teach me in its simplest form what co-regulation is or how parents can identify if they're co-regulated? Because I feel like one of the biggest things that we get, or the biggest misunderstanding, if you will, that we get from parents is they say, oh, I'm co-regulated with my child all the time. I think the impression is if you are in the same room with your child and you're calm and they're calm, that is co-regulated because they're using the word co and regulated together. But really, we have to say it in the most simplest form that's the most impactful. So take it away.
Yeah, so co-regulation is a shared responsibility, a 50-50 responsibility between the parent and the child.
Yeah.
In order to build that self-regulation aspect that kids will grow up with, you need to build that co-regulation with a person that you trust, and that could be your parent, your mom, your dad, caregivers as well, that 50-50 shared responsibility.
Yeah, and so we have a lot of parents that are like, okay, that's great, Amber. But like, how do I co-regulate then, right? What can I do?
Yeah, so I think it all depends on age as well.
Right.
So let's say that you have your 5-year-old
Yeah.
or your 3-year-old. A lot of kids on the spectrum miss out on those shared moments when they're growing up. So that could be peekaboo. That's playing on the drums or in sync body movements. So in order to build that co-regulation,
Yeah.
having these shared responsibilities and role assigning and being in sync together in small little activities builds on that co-regulation aspect in your everyday life.
Right. And that's one of the things we talk about too in RDI is one of the things we learned was in ASD in the beginning is because you brought up peekaboo, which is one of my favorite analogies. So parents, you might be able to relate if you're a parent of a child on the spectrum. You may or may not. It's the spectrum. But a lot of kiddos we'll go into in a different episode on growth seeking mindset. But some kiddos by the age of like 12 months or so, when you start doing peekaboo with them, they kind of lose interest. Whereas in a neurotypical child would be totally interacting and doing the peekaboo back at you. Some kiddos on the spectrum would be non-reactive. And that's because we have lost that co-regulation state. We've lost that the ability to guide our child. And that's kind of a lost thing that we have to try and get back. So Amber, you mentioned 2 things. You mentioned role assigning and you mentioned mirroring or syncing. Can you go into, let's start with mirroring and syncing because that's one of my favorites.
So say your kiddo is rocking back and forth. Well, let's rock back and forth with them. Let's match their energy. Let's be in sync. Let's show that I'm with you. I'm here for you. Let's do this together.
Yeah.
Matching energies, being in sync, being together on their level as well. So you want to be down with them. If they're playing on the floor, go down to their level, play on the floor with them, rock back and forth with them. If they're humming, hum with them, maybe a little quieter.
Yeah.
But you want to be in sync with their energy and their actions.
I've seen you a lot in the clinic before you became an RDI consultant when you're with the kiddos and you were learning these hacks, and it was really cool. And one of the memories I remember so much is you would welcome a child in and we have a really long hallway and you would go and you would run with them and then stop and then run and then stop. And then you guys would do this thing and it's like magic because they could come in and instead of being nervous or don't want to be there or you have to transition, they automatically go into like a play mode with you when they're already co-regulated with you and you're guiding that and they're having fun and they're watching you. So they're like running too and stopping too. And it makes them curious about you. So it makes them really, really, really want to continue and be like, okay, so what's next? What's next is going to be fun. And that I could definitely see your ability to magically step in and co-regulate. So yeah, I totally agree. Mirroring and syncing is really, really cool. I know one of the tips we give is like walk to the mailbox and just match their step, or, in the military, lift, 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 lift. It could be that. It could be anything. It could be, sitting on the couch. And I mean, one of my stims is, bobbing my knee and my leg all the time. I mean, like, you could do the same around someone else. And I don't know, it just sparks this curiosity on, oh, they get me. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think one thing for parents to know as well is being in sync does not mean being slow or being quiet or those little subtle movements, just like what you had mentioned, like racing down the hallway, stopping, freezing, going again. They're referencing you. They're looking for when you're going to say, okay, go. Let's go take our shoes off.
Yeah.
As soon as they come into the door, whether it's coming straight from school or maybe they had a doctor's appointment, having that predictability of, okay, Amber's here. We're going to race down the hall together.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for you and I'm going to wait until you say, ready, set, go, or 1, 2, 3, go. We're going to race, reference each other. Maybe next time your kiddo will then count down and you go together.
A really cool hack too, just a super quick one before we go to role assigning. A really quick hack too is, I feel volume and pacing the way you talk is also equally important. I feel like if a kiddo is not very talkative, it could be because they're in regulation mode and they're trying to regulate. So if they're not talking a lot and we're holding 80% of the conversation, are they really engaged? If we're holding 80% of that conversation, they may not be engaged. Yeah. No. And if they're talking really loudly, we may want to like shock them and be like, what are you talking about? Why are we talking loud? Or if they're talking like this, maybe we should too. They're kind of like, obviously the way that kids communicate, people say it's behavioral, but it is. I mean, behaviors are a form of communication. So if you match your child's communication style, whether that's slowing down your words or speeding it up or adding too much context to a conversation, all you're doing is getting down to the same kind of level they're at. And that is exactly what co-regulation is that 50% meeting in the middle. They're up here or they're down here and you're up here, and you just got to kind of bring it in together. So going into just jumping right into role assignment, because that too is my second favorite. We're giving away 2 today. Yeah, go into role assigning. Role assigning is right.
So role assigning is really important. I find that it works really well with all the kiddos and the teens that I have worked with. It can be in any daily interaction, any daily thing that you're doing, any activity. That could be as simple as, I'm bringing out the juice from the fridge, you grab the cup. I am going to grab the vegetables. Can you go and grab the bowl from the cupboard? It's having a shared responsibility and your role assigning. So I'm doing this, you're doing that. If it's with a younger kiddo, you hold out your foot for me to untie your shoe and I'll untie your shoe.
There you go.
It's very simple. It gives them their autonomy to do that role for them, for themselves as well. You're not jumping in and doing it for them. And you also have a role within that.
And what's wild is when you talk to parents, they think, you know what, I can ask my kiddo to, take out the juice and I'll pour, but they're not going to take out the juice because they don't want to hang out with me. And it's like, it's wild how you'll see that when you start implementing these little tips, they actually do work like magic. And I think that the formula behind that, again, going back to that statistic I talk about on repeat, is the 4 times likelihood of anxiety and depression. But anxiety comes from not having predictability of the future. And the magic of role assigning comes from giving predictability of the immediate future. So to a child, right, if you're saying, I stir and you pour, you are now giving them predictability, not just predictability on what they have to do, but predictability of you, what you have to do. And because you gave them that predictability, they're actually excited to do it because there's nothing to fear. We're removing fear. And when you do that and you do role assign and you pair that with spotlighting, which is saying to your child, wow, that's amazing, great job, the magic happens. And parents can see this right away. Would you agree?
I agree. Absolutely. Cool.
So red car theory today. So a red car theory, if you haven't been with us before, red car theory is if we tell you, go ahead and look for all the red cars, count the red cars on your journey today. You're going to count red cars. You're going to ignore the blue and the greens and all the hundreds of blacks, and you're only going to see the red. So we're going to look for the good. I want you to go home and I want you to do something mirroring your child, whether that's He's brushing his teeth, so you go brush your teeth at the same time. See if you found that there's that co-regulation, that 50% responsibility, I would say. And that's your red card. But if we can give them a takeaway today, what do you think a good takeaway would be, Amber? What can they try?
Don't put too much pressure on it. If you are not regulated and feeling calm yourself, you can't expect someone else to be calm with you. Don't put too much pressure on it, but at the same time, have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. It can be as simple as, when you're brushing your teeth, do a little, like, stick your tongue out and, like, brush it kind of crazy and see if they think it's hilarious, or if they try it too, and then maybe mirror what they're doing next and go back and forth and
Be silly
and have fun with it.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to our other podcast that we just did, which was talking about the memory bank experience. Guys, I mean, like, we're talking about helping, helping adults be happy adults. And that starts with these things like co-regulation. And by being co-regulated, we're helping them with self-regulation. We're creating positive memory bank experiences. Here at Raising Awesome, our big audacious goal is to help parents create over 1 million memory bank experiences. You have hundreds of opportunities a day to interact with your child in a way that can profoundly impact them. So there's a link below you can push when you try it tonight and you see that it worked. Please join our community in making this 1 million positive memory bank experiences. And happy adults start in childhood. So thanks, Amber, for being here and teaching everyone. And
Absolutely. Thank you.
that's it. Stay awesome.